yet another topic today, and the topic for today is respiration. So let's get started. First, let us see what is respiration. What is respiration? I know some of you must have already started defining respiration. However, let me define. Respiration is the process in which glucose is broken down to release energy. Yes. So what is respiration? Respiration is the process in which glucose is broken down to release energy. Yes, we need respiration in plants because plants need energy. But before we go into energy, you might be thinking, where did this glucose come from? This is actually the glucose that we have talked about in the previous topic, that is the end product of photosynthesis. Yes, it is that glucose that is being broken down here in order to release energy. Now, why is it necessary to release energy? Because plants need energy to perform all kinds of activities that they perform in their life. So that is why energy is very much essential to be released by plants. And why is energy required? Energy is required for the growth of plants. If no energy is there, the plant will not grow, and also for the root cells to penetrate inside the soil. Now, why roots need to penetrate inside the soil? Because until they penetrate inside the soil, the water and minerals that is present in the soil will not be absorbed by the plants. So that is why the roots have to be penetrating inside the soil so that they can absorb water and minerals, and that water and minerals will help in conducting other activities in the plants. Clear, students? Okay, so now you tell me, where do plants get their energy from? I know some of you must have already given the correct answer. Yes, you are right. Plants get their energy from respiration. From where? From respiration. Alright, now we will see the types of respiration. How many types of respiration are there? There are mainly two types. Let's see what are they. Two types of respiration. First one is aerobic respiration, and the second one is anaerobic respiration. Let's say it together. The two types of respiration are: number one, aerobic respiration; number two, anaerobic respiration. Okay? Now we will define anaerobic respiration. Anaerobic respiration and aerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration first. That means it utilizes oxygen. It utilizes oxygen means what does it mean? That means glucose is completely oxidized into carbon dioxide and water and energy. That means in the presence of oxygen, glucose is broken down and it is being converted to carbon dioxide, water, and the most important thing is energy. And what happens to the rest of the energy? Because in aerobic respiration, the amount of energy produced is large in number. So what happens to the energy that is not being used by the plant. The energy that is not being used by the plant is stored in the cells of the plants in the form of ATP. In the form of ATP. And its full form is adenosine triphosphate. Okay? Alright, and there is an equation that involves in aerobic respiration. Let's see what's the reaction. The equation is glucose plus oxygen in the presence of enzymes gives out carbon dioxide plus water plus energy, and the amount of energy produced here is in the form of ATP. And how much ATP do we get? 38. Let's see the equation again. Glucose plus oxygen. I've told you in the beginning, glucose is broken down in the presence of oxygen and it gives out carbon dioxide and water, and the most important thing is energy. So this overall is the explanation of aerobic respiration. Now let's go to anaerobic respiration. And one more thing, where does this aerobic respiration occur? It occurs in all parts of plant when oxygen is available. Whenever and wherever oxygen is available, that is where aerobic respiration occurs in the plants. Now we'll see anaerobic respiration. Anaerobic respiration, it is the respiration that does not utilize oxygen. That means oxygen is not required in anaerobic respiration. It does not utilize oxygen. So you have seen the difference between aerobic and anaerobic respiration. In aerobic respiration, oxygen is utilized. However, in anaerobic respiration, no oxygen is required. And where does this anaerobic respiration take place? This occurs mostly in yeast and most bacteria. That means we find it in yeast and most bacteria. Anaerobic respiration takes place in yeast and most of the bacteria. Now what happens in anaerobic respiration? Just like aerobic respiration, some equation takes place in anaerobic respiration as well. What happens here is glucose is partially broken down. The entire glucose is not broken down. And whenever we talk about glucose, remember we are always talking about the glucose that has come as the end product from photosynthesis. So here also it is that same glucose that is being broken down. And when it is broken down, what does it give us? It gives us ethanol and carbon dioxide and energy. And the amount of energy produced here is very less. So let's see the equation. The equation is glucose with enzymes gives us ethanol plus carbon dioxide plus energy. The amount of energy that we get here is only 2 ATP. So what is the end product of anaerobic respiration? Ethanol plus carbon dioxide plus energy. Now what is ethanol? Ethanol is nothing but it is and alcohol. Clear? So what is ethanol? Ethanol is nothing but it is an alcohol. Alright, so now that we have learned about aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration, I believe you will now be able to tell me the difference between aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Let's see the first difference between aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Difference between aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration, anaerobic respiration. Okay, so what is the basic difference between these two? The basic difference between these two is in aerobic respiration, it requires oxygen. And in anaerobic respiration, it does not require oxygen. I know you are able to tell me this difference even while watching this. So the first difference is aerobic respiration requires oxygen and anaerobic respiration does not require oxygen. What is the second point? The second point is large amount of energy is produced. Can you tell me how many ATP? 38 ATP. And of course here it will be less amount of energy is produced. And how much energy? Only 2 ATP. How many? Only 2 ATP. So this is the second difference that we get between aerobic and anaerobic respiration. And we have one more difference between these two, and that is their end products. The end products are carbon dioxide and water. And here the end products are ethanol and carbon dioxide. Energy is also their end products, but both the respiration or both the processes gives out energy, so it is not the difference. So that is why I have not mentioned the end product, the energy as the end product, because both of them produces energy as their end product. Alright, so we will once again recap the differences. In aerobic respiration, it requires oxygen, but anaerobic respiration does not require oxygen. In aerobic respiration, large amount of energy is produced. And how much is that energy? 38 ATP. And in anaerobic respiration, less amount of energy is produced. There is only 2 ATP. A big difference, right? And the end products of aerobic respiration are carbon dioxide and water. And the end products of anaerobic respiration are ethanol and carbon dioxide. Okay. So now, we will now see what are the steps involved. Steps involved in respiration in plants. That means we have to see how respiration actually takes place. How respiration actually takes place in plants. It does not randomly occur, but it has a step-by-step process. So let's see the step-by-step process of respiration in plants. Alright? Steps of respiration in plants. Okay. So obviously the first thing is we will be mostly talking about aerobic respiration here. So the first thing that is required is the absorption of oxygen from the atmosphere. That means without oxygen, respiration cannot take place. So first thing that plants have to do is absorb oxygen from atmosphere. This is the first step that the plants undergo in the process of respiration. After oxygen is absorbed, what is the second process? The second process is oxidation of glucose by absorbed oxygen. Now that oxygen is absorbed, glucose can be broken down. So that means oxidation of glucose by the absorbed oxygen. Okay, oxygen is absorbed, and after the oxygen is absorbed, glucose has been broken down by this absorbed oxygen. Next one. Next, what happens after glucose is broken down? Yes, it releases energy as a result of oxidation. So you write releases energy as a result of oxidation. Because we know we require respiration, or plants require respiration mainly for energy. So what happens? We get energy once glucose is broken down. And after that, what is left after we get energy? What else do we get? We get carbon dioxide and water as their end products. So these are the 4 steps that is required in respiration in plants. So let's recap. The first step is absorption of oxygen from atmosphere. That means oxygen that is available in the atmosphere is being absorbed by the plant, and after it is absorbed, what happens? The glucose is broken down, or oxidation of glucose by the absorbed oxygen, because glucose is broken down in the presence of oxygen. And next, after glucose is broken down, what happens? It releases energy as a result of oxidation. After glucose is broken down in the presence of oxygen, it releases energy. What does it do? It releases energy. And after energy, what else is left? What else is produced is carbon dioxide and water, which are the end products of respiration. So now that we have learned about photosynthesis and respiration, let's see the differences between photosynthesis and respiration as well. Let's see the difference between photosynthesis and respiration. While I'm telling you we will be discussing photosynthesis and respiration, some of you might already be thinking about the points. So, difference between photosynthesis and respiration. Okay, so what is the first difference between respiration and photosynthesis? What happens in photosynthesis? Energy is utilized to produce food. Energy is utilized to produce food. And what happens in respiration? Energy is released. Energy is released. That means how is it released? By the breaking down of food or glucose. That means in photosynthesis, energy is utilized so that it can produce food. What is the food here? Here also is talking about glucose, because we know the end product of photosynthesis is glucose. And in respiration, energy is released. How? By the breakdown of food, that is the glucose that is being produced during photosynthesis. And the second point, light is required, and here light is not required. You know it very well. In photosynthesis, light is necessary for photosynthesis to take place, but in respiration, light is not necessary. Next, where does respiration and photosynthesis take place? Photosynthesis takes place in the green parts of plants, or parts where chlorophyll is present. But in respiration occurs in all the parts of the plant. And we know in photosynthesis and respiration there's one more difference, that is one more difference in photosynthesis and respiration is that the difference is photosynthesis starts with carbon dioxide and water as raw materials. But here carbon dioxide and water are the end products. So this is another difference. In photosynthesis, carbon dioxide and water is required as raw materials. That means for photosynthesis to take place, these are required. But in respiration, after respiration, we get carbon dioxide and water as the end products. And there's one more difference that I will not write, but I will only say that photosynthesis takes place only during the daytime, but respiration takes place in the day and night both. So before I wind up, I want to ask you a question. Have you heard some people saying that it is not wise to sleep under the tree at night? Yes, you might have heard or you might not have heard. Well, respiration takes place even during the night. And we know that the end product of respiration is carbon dioxide. That means the tree releases carbon dioxide at night. Which means if you sleep under the tree during the night, you might be inhaling carbon dioxide, which is harmful for our body. So that is why the saying that goes that sleeping under the tree at night is harmful for our body is proven to be true. So therefore, but we know that sleeping under the tree during the day gives us oxygen and also gives us some coolness that comes from transpiration. Okay, therefore we can conclude that photosynthesis and respiration are maintaining a balance between them, because we know that in photosynthesis carbon dioxide is used and oxygen is released, and in respiration carbon dioxide is liberated and oxygen is used. That used in photosynthesis is released in respiration, and what is released in respiration is used in photosynthesis. Therefore, it maintains a balance. So, for the question and answers, you may follow the school website. It will be uploaded in the school website. Till then, until I come back with a new topic, stay home, stay safe, and save lives. Bye-bye.